allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's make a notice before we open. 2 cases will not be heard. 602 704 Fourth Avenue case will not be heard. And 507, 1107 Ocean Avenue will not be heard.
The 704 Fourth Avenue application is going to be carried to our November 18th, 2021 meeting with no further notice being required.
I make a motion we carry the Frederick application till November meeting.
Do you have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the other application had requested to be carried to the December 16th meeting, 2021, without further notice being required.
I make a motion we carry the O'Neill application,
No, it's Ocean Grace.
excuse me, Ocean Grace till 12/16.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask a question on this?
Yeah,
Since we're pushing that to the 16th
Mhm.
of December, and just from the look of it, it's a complex application, if normal times, I would assume this is gonna go forward into January, and we're not gonna be there. So, wouldn't it be prudent just put them off to the new board in January?
I already spoke to Mr. Wenning about that. I guess they're gonna take their chances, see if we can get through it in December, because anything that we do approve in December, we're gonna have to have probably a special meeting to memorialize the resolutions.
Right, but we got the holiday season, you've got a lot of people busy, just my opinion, that's what they want, I guess, but it seems silly.
But you're even more concerned that we're not gonna get through the application, right? Yeah.
He's well aware of that.
Well, I'll reach out to him and get his viewpoint.
It's kind of a waste of time.
but it's, at
I
this,
told him if it was getting late, I advised him that he should not start the application. It doesn't make sense.
Thank you.
It really doesn't,
so
so.
for tonight, let's ask to his request.
I'm the architect on that project
No,
as well.
not-
I would agree with that's gonna be,
But I think
For now,
Fair
for the
enough.
request,
Application.
let's make a
but I'm
motion.
gonna defer.
Because we don't know what's gonna happen in December.
Until next meeting, let them, let you guys talk.
We'll make a motion to postpone decision on moving the Ocean Grace.
so for now, my recommendation is grant the motion to December 16th without further notice, because if anybody's here, I mean, we have to have a date. In the meantime,
Okay.
we'll address that issue.
Yeah.
I make a motion, we grant the motion for 12/16 on Ocean Grace account.
Second.
Second? Okay, thank you. All in
Got
favor?
talked into it.
Aye.
Okay.
But we'll be back.
Okay, the 48-hour notice is required under the Open Public Meetings Act has been met, as notice of this meeting was emailed on June 29th, 2021, published in the Asbury Park Press, the Co-Star, and the Poster. A copy is placed on the bulletin board in the Borough office, and a copy is filed with the Borough Clerk. Mr. Adento is absent. Mr. Wade?
Here.
Mr. Affuso?
Here.
Mr. Fratelli?
Here.
Ms. Brunel?
Here.
Ms. Saracine?
Here.
Ms. Leahy is excused this evening. Mr. Mayor?
Here.
And Chair Rosenberg.
Here.
And also present this evening, Mark Kittrick, Attorney of the Board, and Gerald Frieda, Board Engineer, and Christine will not be with us this evening.
Correct.
Okay.
I make a motion, we adopt the minutes of September 30th, 2021.
Second.
Mr. Wade?
Yes.
Mr. Affuso?
Yes.
Mr. Fratelli?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Ms. Brunel?
Yes.
And Chair Rosenberg.
Yes. I make a motion to memorialize resolution 2021-19, 501 Lake Terrace.
Second.
Mr. Wade?
Yes.
Mr. Affuso?
Yes.
Mr. Fratelli?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
And Chair Rosenberg.
Yes. Mr. Beekman, your turn.
What would you like?
This is how, you want me to have my client sit here
Whatever you
to
like.
testify, I'll stand up. Why don't you go there, I'm sure, chair.
Mr.
Is any of the
Beekman?
chairs loose?
All these chairs are loose if you want to bring one up, otherwise.
I'd like to come up here and
Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Jeffrey Beekman, on behalf of the applicant, Matthew and Melissa, and I said I was gonna do that tonight. Matthew and Melissa O'Neill. We have our architect here, Michael Moss, so I got a lot of M's. But Jeffrey Beekman from the Beekman Law Firm, Ocean Grove, New Jersey. I do represent the applicants, and this is an application for a minor addition, renovation to the applicant's property, as well as some variances as noted in the application. Everything has been submitted to the board, except I do have one exhibit, which is an aerial, which if we can have that marked, I guess is A1 mark.
That'd be fine.
Thank you.
Mr. Beekman, who'll be testifying this evening?
It will be Matthew O'Neill as well as Michael Moss.
Okay, so if Mr. O'Neill and Mr. Moss, you each raise your right hand, please, along with Mr. Frieda, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth tonight proceeding?
Thank you.
Thank you.
You just take one and pass it down. And then anything left over, get back to me, please.
So, Mr. O'Neill, why don't we start off, I'm just going to identify what's been marked as A1. Is that an aerial picture of your property?
Yes, it is.
And that's your property highlighted in red?
Yes, it is.
And that's 602 Ocean Park Avenue, correct?
Correct.
And to your right is 600 Ocean Park Avenue, and that's at the corner of Hammond and Ocean Park?
Correct.
And then to your left is, immediately to your left or your west is 604 Ocean Park, correct?
Yes.
Actually, I guess I should have Mr. O'Neill sworn in and Mr. Moss sworn in?
Or just that.
You did? Okay. Thank you.
We can do it. We can do it again.
Yeah.
It was painless. It was painless. We can do it again.
I thought you deserved
Just making sure for the record.
You did very well.
He said yes. Good. Matthew, you are the owner and applicant for 602 Ocean Park Avenue?
Correct.
And can you just describe for the board the layout of the existing home and property, and what you're proposing this evening?
Sure. The property at 602 is a two-story structure. It's first floor, second floor, and an attic. The space is relatively narrow, the property is narrow, and therefore the house on that property is pretty narrow. So there's some challenges here for our architect, which you'll address later on. The space, again, is pretty narrow. There is, on the first floor, there is very limited space, narrow configuration, almost what I would call almost a railroad. No closet space on that first floor. The back of the structure has a covered porch, which right now just houses odds and ends, miscellaneous chairs and boogie boards and all those good stuff that we use during the summer. There is a small Yankee basement. I would say it's probably about 5 foot at its highest, and that's about a 12 foot by 12 foot area located towards the rear of the house. And then the front is really almost like a crawl space that's dirt covered. So very limited storage down below in the basement, and next to nothing on the first floor. The second floor has 2 bedrooms, and there's a bathroom, a half bathroom on the first floor. On the second floor, there's 3 bedrooms, 3 small bedrooms, and a full bath. And as part of our application, we're looking to just do some reconfiguring and make that space, give us some more space for storage. Currently, we use this as a summer getaway, and as of next year and completion of this, we would like to make this our full-time residence. And so there are, specific considerations, like where to put a winter coat. We've never had to do that before. So COVID has taught us a couple of things, and it's actually helped us shape, what this property will look like and the house would look like. Like I said, there's no closet space downstairs, so there will be some considerations for us to add some closet space on the lower level and gain some additional storage space within the structure. As I mentioned, the property is very narrow. There is no ability for us to gain property on the left or the right, and I think the aerial view that Mr. Beekman's provided shows that we are pretty close on either side. Additionally, we do not have access or garage in the back for any type of storage there. So as Michael Moss will point out, we are looking to just add some storage space in the attic right now and access. One of the things we joked about last year was because of COVID, we were down in this area and we put up our Christmas tree, and getting that into an attic up a spring-loaded stairs was, death-defying. So there is an access, a narrow stair that we can have so that we can retrieve seasonal items and seasonal clothing from that attic space. Additionally, we do know that there are some non-conformances, and our architect will speak to those. And as the property is, I think, only 21 feet wide, and the house itself is only 14 feet wide. So additionally, I know there's some coverages that we're going to ask for a small adjustment. I think it's only 1.7% over what's required. So that, and then our architect will speak to those specifically. And
So just specifically, as far as the proposal, in the rear of the yard, you're actually looking to convert what's already an existing covered porch into interior living space.
Correct.
And also construct a Bilco door to have access to that garage, to your basement.
Correct.
What's your access to your basement now?
There is a stair that goes down, hits you right about your chin when you get to the bottom.
And where's the stair access?
It is in the back, right where that Bilco stair is.
Okay, so it's going to be, what you're proposing is going to be similar to that
Exactly.
area. And as far as that Bilco door is concerned, that's going to be directly in line with the existing structure, correct?
Correct.
And as far as the front porch is concerned, we're looking to reconfigure the front porch slightly, is that accurate?
Correct.
And what's the proposal there as far as the porch setback? We're going to conform to the porch setback requirement, correct?
Correct.
And we've had some discussions about that, although I noticed it's obviously noted in Mr. Frieda's letter, we have had some discussions that you are going to conform to the average alignment of porches setback.
Correct.
I also just wanted to go through the letter, in particular section 4, the general comments, and you don't have any issues with compliance with any of those general comments that Mr. Frieda noted in his report, correct?
Correct.
And your taxes are paid?
Yes.
Great. Those are the only questions I have of Mr. O'Neill at this time.
Ms. Christie, for the record, Mr. Rosentos.
Yes, thank you.
Any questions from the board for Mr. O'Neill? And not just anybody from the general public. Direct questions to him. None? Carry on, Mr.
All right, thank you. Mr. Moss, you're up. Yeah, you want to stand? Front center?
Yeah, sit up there.
That's it? Okay. All right. So, Michael, you've been retained by Melissa and Matthew O'Neill to prepare the drawings for this applicant this evening.
I have.
And
Mr. Beekman, Mr. Moore's been here, so.
thank you. I'm just gonna.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna ask that, sorry, just knocking you over. And you prepared the plans for this tonight for the application.
I did.
Can you describe for the board? Let's start in the front of the home and what's being proposed, as well as specifically the change that's going to be made in order to make the porch conform.
All right. My notes here somewhere. Hold on. The front porch, we were going to remove the existing front porch. And we were going to, which is also, it's a roof porch, covered porch, remove the existing roof, remove the existing porch. It's substandard structurally, needs to be, there's some framing that needs to be replaced there. It also is a nonconformity on the east setback. It violates the setback. The existing porch is even with the principal building, the dwelling, the east wall. So it's in the side yard setback at 1.64 feet. And we're proposing to move that back or offset it 6 inches in on each side, the new porch, new construction, which will make that non-conformance go away if this project's approved, so that the east side of the porch and upper deck that we're proposing, open upper deck, would be beyond the 2.1 foot setback.
And as far as the front yard setback?
The front yard setback, we were going to using the average for the 200-foot area or yards, and the average, I guess for the porch as well. And we were originally had proposed 9.5 feet, 9.5 feet extension to the front yard of the porch, which the engineering letter, Mr. Frida's letter, said would violate or need a variance. So we're going to push that back, or move that back to only a 9-foot extension, so that we comply with the front yard setback for the porch, and that variance would go away. So the proposed front porch and covered front porch, open deck above would be compliant.
It'll be no closer than 9.91 feet, which is what the average is,
Yeah,
correct?
it's gonna be a little bit, it's gonna be an inch or so beyond that. Be back of that,
Further away.
further away.
And as far as the side yard setbacks, there is already an existing rear porch or deck off the back there that's covered?
So,
As far as the rear yard, as far as the proposal, what's being proposed in the rear yard, there's already an existing covered deck in the
there's an
back?
existing covered area there, landing, and there's also a walled entryway to the basement. That's what we're gonna remove and replace that with the new Velcro door, or new steps and Velcro door. The addition will go in that space where the rear deck is,
So
the landing is.
So the addition's only on that single floor, right? We're not going up 2
We're
floors?
going that, that's a one-story addition. I do have pictures if anybody wants. I'm gonna pass them around, what we're talking about here,
We need
back
to
and
move.
front.
Yeah, I guess we can mark those as A2 and A3.
And they have photographs of
Copy.
the current home?
Yeah.
Mike, those are photos of the current house?
Yes, those are photos of the current.
And you took those
I
photos?
took those.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll mark that one that you're looking at A2, and that's the rear, and then the front we'll mark as A1, A3. Okay, so as far as the functionality of what's being proposed, why are we proposing, or why are you and the applicant proposing the addition to make it livable space on that first floor?
We're proposing the addition on the first floor to add in a bathroom and a utility area. Expand, it enables us to, or the owner, to expand the kitchen area, which they wanted to do, and open up the entire first floor into, a modern type living arrangement with the open floor plan on the lower level. It's right now divided into 3 separate spaces. We're going to remove some interior partitions in there.
And with respect to the proposed landing on that first floor, that's going to be an uncovered roof?
Landing
landing at the rear?
in the back is going to be uncovered. It's going to extend past the new addition. The new addition is 5 feet extension off the back. And about 14 wide, 70 square feet, 1 story.
And you're asking for permission to have that new addition, even though it's already covered, to have that at the existing 1.64 feet setback on the east side, correct?
We are, the existing wall over there is even more, it's non-conforming there, it goes beyond, or it goes closer than the 1.64, so we're remedying that by taking that down. I don't know exactly how much closer, is a few inches closer.
And if I refer you to the demolition plan at the top of the plan, which is the rear, that's what we're talking about, it juts over.
Correct, and it's indicated on the demo plan.
And the Bilko doors, how high is that going to be off the ground?
The Bilko door that I specified is the size O from Bilko, and it's 30 inches high. It's angled up, it starts at a couple of inches at the far end, and then it angles up at, I don't know what the angle is, up to 30 inches. The stairwell sits below the grade. It's a typical entryway to the basement.
All right, and the second floor, there's going to be some modifications to the second floor as well?
Yes, we're going to modify the second floor as well.
How many bedrooms are there existing?
There's 3 bedrooms existing, there will be 3 bedrooms proposed. We are just modifying the existing bedrooms, maximizing the bedroom space as much as we can. The bedrooms existing right now are very, they're way undersized for modern living or typical modern bedroom. It's a typical beach house, no closet space. Beach houses we find that often 50, 60, 70-year-old homes down here on the beach and near the beach, no closet space. I guess, just back in the day when these were built, we just came down for the weekend. Short-term, 1-week vacation, that kind of thing, no closets apparently were necessary, so we find these houses all the time with no closets. So expansion of the bedrooms, as much as we could, helped us with providing more closet space. The main goal of the owners was to get more storage space and closet space, as Matt had mentioned earlier. So in the front bedroom, we're proposing to expand that front bedroom towards the front to the setback, to the allowable setback, which would give us a 1-foot 10-inch addition at the front bedroom and a little bit more room in that bedroom, and does not add to any building coverage. Add to the building coverage in that regard. It's over the deck or the porch below.
And it meets the setback, you said, correct?
It is up to the setback, yes.
And it
An
doesn't
inch or
over,
so behind the setback.
and it doesn't overhang more than 2 feet.
It doesn't, it's also inset as well. It's inset to the 2.1 setback required on the east and the west side. The east side is 2.1 setback. The west side is not affected there. It's a 4.2 setback. All right, the other thing we're asking to do here, which does increase the building coverage slightly, the 1%, the 1.5% we were talking about, is the middle bedroom with the stair, the existing stair to remain and the existing hall to remain. That bedroom was less than 8 feet wide, very small at the beginning. And we wanted to push that side of the building, existing building, cantilever it out 10 inches. And that would be to the 4.2 side, western side setback. And when we looked at that, It's expansion to get that middle bedroom bigger and the back bedroom bigger. We decided to carry that down to the first floor. We wanted to do that as well on the first floor, just to give you a couple inches of extra space to the setback. Again, it is 1 point, it takes the building 1.7 over the building coverage, 35%.
And as I look at your plan, you're still showing that bedroom's still only gonna be about 8 feet by 9.4 feet.
It is, it's, all the bedrooms are still undersized per your average bedroom of today.
And again, the addition on the back is not gonna be a second floor addition, it's just, there's a roof below that.
Correct. 1 story on the back addition, we'll get a new roof over it. The existing roof, you can see by the picture, is a little bit structurally questionable there.
So the
So
bulk,
that will have a new roof over it.
so the bulk of the change and the request for the 1.7% is more related to that cantilever bump out than anything else.
Exactly.
But that gives you a reasonably sized room with a very narrow property, correct?
Correct. Doesn't violate, we don't violate any side yard setbacks or any setbacks with that proposed addition.
Now, let's talk about, Mr. Frida's letter indicates that there may be a variance for an attic space. So explain why you don't think that that is a variance.
All right. The code defines habitable space as a ceiling height of 7 feet or more. While we are removing the roof, or proposing to remove the roof, the existing roof, and replace it with a new roof and a north-south dormer as indicated on the elevations, and east-west gable roof construction instead of just the gable front to back. But I do specify the collar ties to be installed at 6 foot 10 inches above the attic floor, so that would not allow that to be code-wise to be called habitable space in the New Jersey UCC, NJUCC IRC. Section 305, if I'm recalling from memory, because I lost the memory on notes. I've been working way too many hours. I can't find my cheat sheet. So, section 305 defines habitable space as it must have 7 feet or higher ceiling height. It's not gonna have that here, so it's not habitable. The other reason is we are proposing a walk-up stair, as Matt testified, to get Christmas trees up easier or whatever, seasonal items. And that is not a 3 foot wide egress stair. So again, if we were proposing habitable area, we would need to have a 3 foot clear access stair or egress stairs, egress, to comply with building code. So we're proposing a 2.8, 2 foot 8 wide, 32 inch wide stairway, access stairway. And that's all that's really gonna fit in that existing hallway anyway.
And
So that does not comply as a legal egress for life safety issues as well. So you have the ceiling, lower ceiling, doesn't comply with habitable space, and the stairway, the egress stairway doesn't comply for habitable occupation. Now, for storage, it's okay. Storage for uninhabitable spaces, that is okay.
And in addition to that, our height is lower than 30 feet as well, being that this property is narrower than 40
Yes, the
feet, correct?
new roof is proposed to stay under the new regulations, the newly adopted 30-foot regulations. And any house or dwelling with a hip roof, a gable roof, a shed roof is gonna have an attic. And building code requires either a pull-down stair, a hatch, or a walk-up stair to access any attic space, but that's the fire code.
And the existing home has an attic as well.
It does with a pull-down stair.
So if a variance is required, if that's what's determined by the board, we're asking for a variance, but this can't be habitable space based on codes.
Correct.
Thank you.
So what will the height of the house be?
Was it 2975?
Height is 20, yeah,
According to the plans, it's 29'75" Mike? So it's less than the 30 that's allowed.
right.
And it is only 2 stories, not 2.5 stories.
I can't call that a half story because it's not defined as habitable per code, per building code.
And I'm going to ask you the same questions I asked Matt. The general comments in paragraph 4 of the letter, is there any issue with putting the notes on there or complying with those
No,
comments?
not at all.
Anything else you want to add?
Without my cheat sheet here, I'm probably gonna miss. I don't want to carry this. No. Well, yes, I do. All right, let me go from my memory. There are a few additional code items that we would, that if we get approval for this project, the east wall and the west wall are currently not fire rated. Building code, fire code, again, requires any exterior wall within 5 feet of the property line to be 1 hour fire rated from the inside and the outside. It's not currently fire rated at all. We propose with this project, if it's approved, to make the east and the west wall entirely 1 hour fire rated to current code. So if you really want to be technical, it's right now, as it exists right now, it's a fire hazard, according to the code.
So
And it won't be if the project's approved.
When you say that, you're talking about all the way from the very front, all the way to the rear, or just the addition?
The entire east and west walls would have to be fire rated to get a construction permit from Private Beach Construction. We also are reducing the windows on the east wall. We're taking 2 windows out completely and infilling them. Again, fire code, any exterior wall within 3 feet of a property line cannot have any windows. Or they must be rated, or the house must be sprinklered, or whatever. So we're reducing, while it's an existing condition, and we don't have to replace them, we're proposing to eliminate 2 of them, which will be more compliant with the fire code. We're removing two of those windows that are shown on the demo plan and the elevations.
I guess they're both on the first floor, right?
Yes, and we're reducing the third window. We're proposing a new window, but it's half the size of the existing one at the second floor. So we're reducing that. I guess that would be a determination from the construction official as to whether he will allow that to be replaced. If we keep them there under the rehab subcode, we're allowed to keep them there, even though they are again for fire. So we're trying to get more compliant with the current fire codes.
When you replace
As
it,
part of this,
Mike, when you replace it, is there any type of new materials out there that are a little more fire compliant than what's there now?
glass block. And it's gotta be a certain thickness, and that's hard to find. Or a metal shutter that's activated by a sensor head that will close the shutter, which prohibitively expensive on a residence. You would do that on a commercial project.
Okay.
So we're bringing this project more in compliance with the fire code, current fire codes. And also structurally, there needs to be some replacement of some, the first floor doesn't meet the live and dead load current code structural calculations. So we were going to enhance or replace some of that as required. And any other nonconformities? The side of the porch set, the new porch setback takes away an existing nonconformity. So I think that was it.
And the cantilever you mentioned also is going to conform to the
Correct.
2.1 foot side yard setback on that
Correct.
east side.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
I think that was it.
Thank you.
I do have, Maybe Jared wants to say anything first?
Sure. I would commend the architect and the applicant. They did a pretty good job here because the property is very narrow and hard to work with. And as was stated, they're really not looking for huge bedrooms and that type of thing. The fact that they're pulling the front porch back is good, eliminates that variance. They've done a good job pulling back on the sides where they can to try and meet our side yard variances. But, you know, we do have an ordinance on the book for these half stories on the narrow lots. And I know maybe in one code, it's not considered a half story because it's not habitable space. But when you have, in my opinion, when you have a stairway going up with beautiful windows and everything else up into that area, you're inviting somebody to put a TV up there or whatever. So I think the variance should stay, and I think that the board should give thought to whether they approve it or not, but I don't believe we should not address it as a variance for that half story. And that's just my opinion on the engineering side. I'm sure Mr. Moss is absolutely correct. His research that he did from the architectural codes and the building codes.
Are the stairs still legal at 2.8?
That would be more of a construction code when they go to build. There may be a problem with that, I don't know. But that will get picked up during construction.
So that kind of changes it.
3 foot clear is the required for egress.
Right.
So, Mike, let me ask you a question.
From a habitable space, not a attic space. Or a basement that's used for storage or utility space.
Mike, you, as a licensed architect, you have to design to either meet code for ingress, egress.
I'm all about life safety first, so that's my, you know, that goes back to the school days. Life safety first, so I don't have,
Is there any absolute prohibition from constructing a stairwell into an attic space that's really constructed for storage only?
no, there's no,
And what, from the BOCA code or the UCC code, what is the requirement for access to an attic space?
well, it would just be a hatch.
Pull
Just the
downstairs.
minimum, 24, no, hatch. Hatch in the ceiling per the fire code is acceptable. I think it's 24 by 24 of the dimensions, might be 24 by 30. Just enough to get a fire person up into the attic, or a ladder up in there.
Are you permitted to have a non-code compliant stairwell to an attic space?
I haven't been turned down for anything like that. I've done it to a basement, which is, you know, same thing, storage, utilities.
And you heard the applicant testify, there's no plans to use this for living space. he's testified
No,
to.
I don't, it's, the way the dormers are designed, at that level, in order to keep a decent size, aesthetically pleasing roof pitch that looks nice, instead of a flat roof pitch, I have to set the plate heights on the dormer walls. The plate heights are the height of the walls. I have to set those at 5 feet high. So each side of that dormer, inside the attic, is only 5 feet high at the walls, the dormer walls. And then it goes up, slopes up to the 6'10". And that dormer is only 6 feet wide.
How many square feet
So,
of that is 6 feet 10?
it's 6 by, eight, 56 square feet. Yeah, I don't.
So the storage area that you're proposing is 56 square feet? And how is the whole floor space?
The second floor?
Second floor? How much is the?
Second floor is 560.
It's just well below 50%, if that was a concern.
Yeah, that's my concern.
The 5 foot area is not more than 50%. I don't have that calculation with me.
Yeah. How, the 6 to 7, almost 7 feet area, how much is that?
There's no space.
6'10", whatever it is.
There's no, it's about 3 feet by the length of the house, which is 49 feet. And actually, it's not, because the dormer only goes 2/3 of the way back, so it's 150 square feet, maybe.
The other issue I would ask is there a need for the skylights and that type of thing?
Say it again?
Well, they're showing skylights. I mean, if it's for storage, and again, just understand where I'm coming from. What are these?
No, that's should, I just left that on there, that's the old chimney, and that's the pull down, where the existing pull down is right now.
Okay, well, that alleviates that question. That's good.
I didn't know if that was skylights, I didn't know.
Put the skylight right off.
You know, and again, just appreciate where I'm coming from, because this is a new ordinance on our books.
I got you.
And the board has to
understand.
know it all. You know, you also have very large, big windows in there. I know you don't show
That's
closet space
more
or anything.
architectural and aesthetic, in my mind, to make it, give it more curb appeal, so that's why we put the larger windows up front. Also looks lighting up there. But you're only gonna have a door height, 6'10" space, or alley, running front to back to the back dormer. And then you're just gonna stack stuff. You're able to stack stuff on either side, and have an aisle down the middle. And this is 5 feet high. That's 5 feet
No,
high,
I
that's 5
understand.
feet high. So that's you could live in
Are you
live in
planning
there
on-
if you really wanted to.
How do you plan on finishing it?
That would be,
Insulate and sheet rock?
Yeah, the thought is to insulate, I think that makes sense, right?
we're gonna have to insulate, and that goes back to the non-conformances as well. We're going to, bring this up to speed on insulation and energy code.
Well,
As much as
but
we
no
can.
sheet rock or finish up there in that third
I
floor?
wasn't,
No, I mean aesthetically, we just want it to look nice and not collect too much dust, that's it. 'Cause we're gonna
Question
be,
is,
for us,
no finish work past installation.
and for us, we're just wanting to make sure, because we, based on, everybody can see the drawing here, you know, there's not a lot of closet space, so we're going to need to store clothing up there, so we'll need to, you know, if it's cedar closet or something like that, we're gonna need to just make sure that those are not, you know, in direct contact with insulation, so I don't know what that finish could look like, but that would be my only thought.
I think this, project, if approved, I think it does go to the, spirit of the new regulation of 2-story and 30 feet restrictions on this size lot. I made every attempt to comply as much as I could with that new regulation.
Just understand, we struggle with these any type
Well,
of
the
opportunity to have
application that
living
just got
space.
pushed, we're gonna be talking about that one along.
Yeah, it's
So that
it's
one-
very difficult for the board to make that decision, and we do have an ordinance on the books that on narrow lots, you're not allowed to have the half story. So, I would recommend that the board consider
If
the
I took-
testimony from the architect. I don't know what else to say. But I still would consider this, I still would recommend the board look at it as a variance. But in looking at a variance, take into consideration the architect's testimony.
Can I just ask one more question to the architect? And if you know, Mike, do you know approximately where the door is on the attic plan? What the height is at that point of the doors? Are you able to tell that?
Yeah, you can see that in the, I did show that in the elevation, on the east side elevation. You can see the stairs going up to the attic. I have Yeah, I'm showing about, that's where the stair would be.
Oh, you see
So
that?
which line of the stair?
Again,
I see where the stairs are, but you have some elevation lines as well.
yeah, the stairs over here, so the door would be right at the landing. The stair going up to the attic is here. Again, we're on the right side east elevation. At the top of that stair is that little alcove that I did there with the door. So the door is basically underneath, and underneath the 6 foot 10. Doors are 6 foot 8.
What size would the door?
Basically, if you look at one of the doors here, those are 7 foot high, that's what we're talking about, it's nothing. You wanna live in that, that's the height. Over here,
It's not a matter of what you want to live in, it's a matter of what people do.
That's the code.
And that's the problem, so. And not saying that this applicant wouldn't abide by everything that you're testifying to, but when the house is sold, there's new people in there, and we're not sure what they'll do with the space. Which is why I'm compelled to bring this to the board, just so you know.
We understand.
Any questions from anybody from the board? Mike?
All right, so walk me through this a little bit more with this attic. First of all, are you doing central air in the house?
all of that, Matt.
At this time, we are considering it, yes.
You're considering. So what I would consider is if you're considering that, I'd consider putting a unit in the attic because then it would give us a lot more comfort that a giant central air unit in the center of the attic is not gonna make for living space. I think that gives us a heck of a lot more comfort on that. But as far as, so you're talking about the 6'8" door. I live in a 100-year-old house in Bradley Beach with 7 foot ceilings. It's great. I can paint the whole house without standing on anything. So I can live in a 7 foot house, I promise you.
But this is only 6 feet wide.
So in the front of it, I get that you got the gabled roof and you got 3 feet in the center that's gonna be 6'10", correct?
Yes,
So then, if it's 3 feet in the center, by my calculation, it's 8.1 feet wide totally. That means you're gonna have 2.5 feet on each side with the slope. Is that correct?
going down to a 5 foot.
Going down to
dormer
5
wall.
All right, so that's gonna be in the center. But then tell me, I'm sorry, that's gonna be in the front of the house. Tell me about what the height's gonna be in that center block. So you're gonna come up the stairs, you said you got a 6'8" door at the top of the stairs.
Right, I have
But with
dash
this
line.
gabled wall,
I have dash lines indicating on the plan, indicating that 6 foot
6 foot,
10 limit of walls.
gotcha.
If you can read it there.
Yeah, I have it, yeah, absolutely. So this is 6'10" over here. So now this is pretty much bigger, right? Am I looking at this correctly?
Yes, at the gable, it goes to the outer east-west wall, and the stair alcove takes up the rest of it. You can't live on the stair alcove.
Sure. But if I drew a line from where the base of the stair starts to where your dashed line is in the back, that's a pretty decent sized room at 6'10", correct?
Yeah, that's,
How big?
the scale on it. It's 14 by, well, without, minus the stair, it's 11. Probably by
It's
11.
14 wide, 14 feet wide, I hope?
Yeah, but minus the stair,
Right.
it would be, that center block, that 6'10" is 10 foot by 9 foot. No, let me say, by 10 by 10.
With a door.
And the door's got, yeah.
So 10 by 10, that's
So
all.
yes, it's a 10 by 10 with a 6'10".
That's a bedroom.
So if you go to the second floor, you'll look at the existing bedroom below it.
Right.
The little bedroom, it's the exact same bedroom, it's just set 6'10" tall, right? It's the same,
Yep,
same footprint.
roughly.
So that's a room.
It could be a room, but you can't, or, if somebody, inspector goes in there and says that that's not 7 foot high, you can't live in it, that's a violation. It would be a
Well, who's
violation.
going in after you're in the house?
All right, if I take away the access stair, okay? And I just have the required pull-down stair that we have now, or that the homeowner has now, to get his storage up there. Are you telling me I have to lower the roof pitch now? Bradley Beach is gonna make me lower the roof pitch, make flat roofs?
I don't understand
Well,
the
that's-
question. Here's what I'm asking,
If I keep the roof the same,
okay?
the way it is, but I only can access it with the pull-down steps as it is now,
Yes.
what's the difference? It still could be used as a room,
Somebody's
theoretically.
not gonna walk, what, the odds of somebody pulling a pull-down step up and walking up that and watching TV up there, I would think is dramatically lower than walking up an existing staircase
It could be-
with the door at the
It
top.
could be converted to a walk-up stair at any point.
But Mike, I know from personal experience with my old house, trying to get stuff up a pull-down stair, whether it's a Christmas tree or whatever, versus getting it up a walk-up step,
Sure.
it's a much safer scenario to have steps going up there. I understand what we're talking about with the heights. My thought is if we can get them to agree that this is not gonna be finished space, I think that would be a good idea. I think it would be counter efficient to put, air conditioning in the attic. I think the air conditioning should be put outside because it's much more efficient outside than it is in an enclosed area.
Don't they put air handlers in?
I think you were talking about the furnace, the air handler.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, the
whatever,
hammer,
I'm
right?
just talking about a machine in the middle, just
Oh,
to
no,
make
I-
it.
the way
you know,
that
whatever.
you were talking about the air conditioning.
No.
Spin, okay.
Just,
Oh, yeah,
a machine.
no,
If I could.
I know this house inside and out, inch by inch. My sister rented this house back in the 1980s when she did her internship at Fitkin, which is now Jersey Shore Hackensack. She rented it in 1980. This house is nothing more than
You gotta be.
a small beach house that was owned by Mr. Many Appliances way back. You know, Mrs. Bianchi lived across the street, Busy Bees, the laundromat. Down the street is Schwartz Drugs, which is now a flooring place, which is falling apart. My gut feeling is what they're attempting to do is probably going to enhance what the neighborhood, could use. Because especially as you get closer to Main Street, things get less and less impressive.
All right.
in pretty much every street in this town.
Yeah, and I appreciate the comments, and the history lesson. Thank you.
Write that down for the history of your house.
Thank you. You know, and I can appreciate your points. The fact that you're pointing out that, yes, this could be made into more living space is fantastic, sounds great, except there is zero storage. And I'm not saying zero storage in the there's zero storage on the property.
I get it,
So
trust me,
there's-
I have the same problem,
So,
I get it.
so as we make this our permanent living space, which is our intent, all of our discussions with Mike have been about getting this, in place for when our son heads off to college and we move down here permanently. Having 6 linear feet of closet space for the entire house is going to be a challenge. And especially when we're going to need to seasonally change out clothes. Having 2 houses is great, and we're going to come down into one space, and having to switch out your clothing from spring, summer, fall, that's gonna be going up and down a stairs. And the reason why I questioned whether we could do this was really bumps and bruises on my wife's knees as we push the Christmas tree up a spring-loaded ladder. And for us, if we're going to have to do that not just once, we're gonna have to do that 4, 5, 6 times a year for seasonality of clothing and also just yard decorations and things like that. It's going to be a challenge. So I respect and appreciate your comments, but just having storage space on this property is truly the challenge here. And making that accessible is really the key.
So if it's storage, can you work with the windows maybe? Get rid of the windows?
So for me,
I know, you're trying for architectural.
yeah, I consider that, when I met with Mike, I said, listen, the left side of my house, and we've
Our
got
neighbors here.
our neighbors here, gets to look at the left side of our house all the time, and he can attest to it. It looks like Ebbets Field, where you just got the big green monster up there, you've got just one solid wall that runs the entire left side of the house. And aesthetically, it's terrible looking, and he gets to look at it all the time. So when we got the chance to share those drawings and what that would look like and what he would get to see on a daily basis when he comes home, he was pleased. So I don't know if you want his comment, but really we're looking to make it a home that we can come home and appreciate, just walking up to the front door as well.
So, just to keep the sequence going, any more questions for the architect?
Anybody from the audience, the architect? Colin?
Thomas J. Cohen, 612 Third Avenue. Mr. Moss, are those big windows on the half story, are they egress windows or not?
No, they're not required to be,
Okay, so they're not.
and they're not sized to be. They're just, give it a little curb appeal up there, match the Craftsman aesthetic
Sure.
on the front, the style.
And
I can have no windows up there, but,
no, that's fine. I just want to know if
sacrificing
they're
the
egress,
look.
that's all. And then the, obviously the storage is limited. Is this space conditioned space?
It was not planned to be.
Great.
And
And then,
it's sealed off at the doorway. I have to, for fire code, I have to put a door at the top of that stairway.
okay. And then
So all
the,
that's sealed off
okay.
for fire code, to get through fire code.
And then the existing home is 3 bedrooms, the new home's gonna be 3 bedrooms.
Correct.
So there really would be, if this project is not approved, it would be the same parking impacts as if it was approved, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, good. Then my question is about the building coverage, because I tried to do the math on this, and I don't know how good I did, but if they're asking for 1.7% more in building coverage than is allowed by the ordinance, correct?
Yes.
And how many square feet is that?
I had that on my cheat sheet. I think it was 30 square feet.
Oh, I have 35.
For
but
35,
Is
that's,
that,
there you go.
is that de minimis?
That's de minimis to me.
Okay, great, just want to clarify that, thank you, sir.
Any other questions in the audience for Mr. Moss? Continue, Mr. Beekman.
Thank you, I have no other witnesses.
Any other questions? from the board.
I just kind of maybe had a silly comment to make, but I think they're actually losing some space on the second floor by putting in a staircase, am I correct?
Yes.
So it almost seems like they're trying to make the house nicer inside, and actually in reality, they're losing space. I mean, those pull-down stairs are horrible, they're eyesores, they never look attractive. I always feel like mice are gonna fall through. And I just think the staircase kind of made it a nicer feature on the inside of the house. And you're losing, they're giving up, I think, space in order to have a staircase.
So again, just recognize what I said before. I really think that the variance should remain in place, and you guys should vote
According.
on that accordingly, and give the credit to the architect's testimony that he provided. And then we go from there.
Okay, anybody else on the board, any other comments? Any comments from the general public? May summarize.
So, board members, you heard the testimony from both my client as well as the architect. We can certainly appreciate Mr. Frieda's comments, and we certainly appreciate the board's comments and questions on this as well, because we knew these things were going to be questions. Moving forward, these are going to be questions, but I believe that the architect prepared a plan to keep the property below the 30 feet, prepared a plan to keep it 2 stories, and that's certainly the intent of the plan, whether you consider that what's being proposed a half story or not. I believe that the testimony would indicate that not only are the new stairs non-code compliant, but also the where the collar ties are going to be sistered. I don't know if that's the right term, constructed, are also going to be non-code compliant to have a 7-foot ceiling. So he certainly is proposing to meet the intent of the ordinance while also keeping the character of the neighborhood. We have a very, very narrow lot that our client is stuck with, and they're making some very minor modifications to the plan in order to make it accommodate for year-round living. Bradley Beach has become more and more of a year-round living community for people, particularly in the last 18 months, as we all know. And we believe that what is proposed here, even if the variances are needed, including the variance for the half story, if that's what the board is inclined to determine, we would ask that the board approve the variances as noted. In addition to that, the variance is associated with the lot coverage, and I believe, yes, the side yard setback related to the extension to the rear. Although I think the testimony was that that's actually an existing covered roof. So maybe or maybe not that's a variance, but we would ask for that to be approved as well. The architect also testified that one of the benefits is new construction. You're going to have a fire-rated building on a very narrow lot. That's very close, as you can see in the aerial, very close to both the home up to the east, which is a much larger lot on the corner, as well as the similarly sized home to the west. So we would ask that the board approve the application as proposed with the variances in. Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion we approve this application with all the conditions stated in testimony from Mr. Moss. And the variance required, and will include the variance for the attic or upstairs storage area as suggested. Anything else? Jerry, would cover it well?
Yeah, I mean, did you want to name out the conditions?
We should, please.
You probably should.
Yeah.
So I know one was that they're gonna pull the front porch back.
To 9 feet.
Yep, to 9 feet. So that eliminates one of the variances.
The walls will be fire rated on the outside of the building.
Right.
Complete and inside.
There was some talk about non-conditioned airspace in the upper level. Is that so?
That's fine. And then you're not going to finish the upstairs outside of a cedar closet possibly. Anything else?
That's all I have.
Second? Anybody else?
Second.
Jerry? Good.
Who was, Mr. Wade's my second? Ms. Brunel?
Yes.
Mr. Wade?
Yes.
Mr. Fuso?
Yes, I still struggle with that upstairs, but the other variances are definitely de minimis, and, you know, I hope you use it for what your testimony under oath is what you want to use it for.
Mr. Fratelli?
Yes, I believe that what's been proposed here and the house that I moved back in the 80s will be a very positive addition to the town, and especially to that westerly end of town, which as we get towards Main Street, things tend to lessen and lessen. But yes, I vote yes.
Thank you. Ms. Saracen?
I vote yes. I think it's a very challenging lot to improve upon, and I know the spot well. I know there was a fire on the corner of your street at the end of summer, and I think the improvements you're making with regard to being safer for both yourself and your neighbors is a huge improvement.
Mr. Mayor?
I vote yes. Just one thing to comment about the variance given for the third floor storage, that should not be interpreted as a norm, or it's not gonna be a norm, or should be not be interpreted as a norm, but this project was such a challenging project, and I understand the conception behind it, of the storage space. It was a difficult project, I can say.
And Chair Rosenberg?
And I vote yes. Also, the challenges of fitting this property and correcting it, bringing it up to code, better for the borough, better for his neighbors, and based on the testimony given, we just move forward. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bruce, congratulations.
Mr. Beckman will take you to the balance of the job. It's not that
With no notice.
So next, all right.
Mark got knocked over a little bit too.
I know, thank you.
Next time you hear a cable sensor, or I mean, I can take your.
That was my prop I was gonna use to go over and measure the door height, so we can all see the height of the door.
And then you don't forget to dress it.
I walked all day.
You did good with that.
All right, next case, Mr. Ron.
Yes. Now that's the thing at all.
Ran, I'm not. Yeah, we put it up here. Oh, this is. Yeah, Chrissy needs that.
You need
That's how it is.
Everybody's trying to be like
Silly name.
Mark, how do you pronounce your name? Rand. Mr.
Yes, I
Rand,
need those, thank you.
presenting his case, zoning board 21-12, 507 Central Avenue, you wrote going pro se, correct?
Correct.
That's the case.
Chair Rosenberg, I'm not sure, I know there's people that came late. I don't know if they're here for the other matter, or should we make that announcement again?
Yeah, we should. Is anybody here for the case at 1107 Ocean Avenue or 704 Fourth? The case will not be heard tonight.
December.
Guess not. Mr. Ron.
Okay. Just making sure, I didn't want them sitting here. Yeah.
Our architect, Rich Solano, is also present.
Mr.
Okay, so just introduce yourself.
Sure, I'm Mark Rand, my wife is Paula Rand. We're property owners at 507 Central Avenue, lot 49 on Quill.
Mr. Earl, anybody else testifying?
Mr. Rich Solano,
Okay.
architect.
So Mr. Valano, Mr. Rand, along with Mr. Krieger, raise your right hand, please. You swear from the public truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in today's proceeding? Thank you.
We've owned 507 Central since 2013, and having recently retired, we plan to move here full-time. We're applying for variance relief because we'd like to add a first-floor bedroom, bathroom. In addition, we'll exceed the building coverage code on our 25 by 100-foot lot. The existing building coverage is 37.7%. We plan to remove the existing rear attached sheds and create the space for bedroom addition. The exterior wall of the addition would extend 1 foot 9 inches further than where the shed currently ends. The addition would increase the building coverage by 124 square feet, and 37.7% coverage would then go to 42.6%. I'd like to point out that we plan to remove the impervious rear patio area and plant grass, which will change the lot coverage from 86.7% to 52.7%, which is under the 60% requirement. Also, the side yard setback on the southerly side will improve. It's currently a half a foot. That will go to 1.7 foot. The northerly side would remain the same.
Sorry, what side is being reduced?
The southerly side.
Thank you.
The northerly side would remain the same. I'd also like to point out that the addition in no way interferes with our neighbors' privacy nor their use of their properties. If you look on the drawing, the upper right-hand corner.
Pick a page,
I'm sorry?
page number.
One or two?
SP1.
SP1, I'm sorry.
Just for the record.
In the upper right-hand corner, you can see the sheds. You can see how close the properties are, but you can see the sheds. To the left is the rear of the building, and to the right it extends a little further into the backyard. Those will be removed so that the addition would be added to that area. Again, it would extend 1 foot, 1 foot 9 inches beyond the end of that shed. Additionally, on these drawings, we can also see, if you look to the far right of that top drawing, that structure is the garage of the Fifth Avenue property, 302 Fifth Avenue. It's not it's not the property of the house that's right next to ours. That lot is just that square lot there.
And where's the fence?
Where is the fence?
Whose line is the fence
The fence is on 302 Fifth Avenue. Okay? But I'm pointing that out because that garage completely blocks the view of what our addition would be. So there's no privacy issue there. In the photo below, you can see that space between the two homes. That's our neighbor on the north side, right? He's in Florida now, otherwise he'd be here. So you can see how narrow the space is there. That's our 2.4 foot difference, okay? I also created a photo book, which I'm happy to submit, which also demonstrates the three, I'm sure you'd be interested in this, there are 3 front-facing homes on Central Avenue between
We're
Greeley
gonna
and
put that in evidence as A1?
It's okay if because it's gonna have to stay in your file.
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
so we'll mark it as A1, exhibit A1, but you can describe it and then we'll pass it around.
The whole book is A1 or each picture?
The whole book.
Okay.
Sorry. Thank you. No, you do have a pen.
Oh, I didn't know.
Somewhere. So those are the, this picture, I'll submit this as evidence, shows the 3 front-facing homes on Central, so that you can see the setbacks, because I didn't have an opportunity to get a legal setback, survey. And I also know that they're supposed to be the average of the 3 homes. But you can see from the picture that the 3 homes are very much alike. The home next to our north side is the same. Of course, I don't have the tape measure to prove that, but it's the same. The home on the north side, 509, is probably 15-foot setback, the staircase there. There's also within this book a demonstration of the trees that create privacy in our backyard between our neighbors, our rear neighbors, and any neighbors to the south side. This is the tree. And I might as well also point out this picture demonstrates the backyard and the pervious coverage that we intend to remove. And again, there's plenty of pictures, well, there's 10 pictures in here that kind of demonstrate the property.
Want to pass it around, please?
Sure. That's my presentation. I hope you'll approve the request, obviously. We're excited to move down here full-time. And lastly, it's my birthday today, so.
There's so many couple variances.
Okay, take care.
That should be a consideration.
You could have brought a cake.
Jerry, any comments?
Yeah, I mean, they tried to do the best they could with the size lot that they have. They're not adding on, just adding on, they're taking away. The sheds are, you think of a shed, everybody has a picture of the shed, but they're pretty good size structures that they're taking down. In my view, that would help the property because, right now it sort of chops the property up. And I think they'd be better served with an addition like they're proposing. I would also add that there's a couple of spots as far as that garage that kind of blocks the view. If you look at the Central Avenue site plan that he has, the garage, you can see the garage clearly blocks the addition from anyone's view. His neighbors and also on the key map, it also shows the structure. Like I say, what they're looking for is not, they've come a long way to give something back to us, to get something back to us. And that includes impervious calculation, removing that. And that's the summary of my report.
And his testimony was taking his patio out and changing the grass.
Yes. We would make that a condition.
Right, I just want to bring it up. Any other questions from the board?
Just a quick question, mechanicals, existing mechanicals, are they in the footprint of the new building, new addition, or are they being moved, are they being adjusted? Is there anything like that going on?
I'm not sure I understand the
The
question.
air conditioners, do you have any central air conditioning in the house?
We intend to install central air.
So that would fall in the backyard.
He's not his architect's gonna testify.
They would have to go for another permit for that they have to go for building permits.
Right.
So at that time when they do, the zoning officer would have to do his initial review. And if he sees that it can't be located properly in the backyard, they'd have to come back to the board again just for that.
Can I
Be
comment?
aware of that.
The intent would be likely to put it in the side yard on the southerly side between 507 and 509.
Can't do that.
Can't do it.
No, that's
Yeah.
where our,
So,
No side yard.
No side yard.
okay.
yeah, it would have to be in the backyard. When the time comes, you're gonna have to submit a plan to the zoning officer.
And your architect has the plans, maybe they'll submit it in his testimony. Any other questions for Mr. Mann? Bring your architect up. Sure. Oh, wait, you want a question?
Sure. Thomas J. Cohen, 6 Coast Thurman Avenue. Mr. Rand, you mentioned sheds plural. Are there 2 sheds?
Yes, in fact, it's actually like 3 sheds. If you see, if you'd like to look at the drawing.
No, that's okay. I'm
Yeah.
just, you're aware the ordinance says 1, right?
Was in this house before.
This was an
Oh,
existing.
no, I realize. I just want to establish that one, but thank you.
Sure.
That's the thought. Bring your architect up, maybe he can answer the question of the air conditioning, maybe you could resolve it for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. As far as the location.
Did you want to give us some credentials? I don't think you've been from this board, have you?
More than 5 years ago.
Just give us a 30-second about you.
Graduated University of Kentucky, 1978. Received my license to practice architecture in 1983. Was partners with Samuel P. Abate and Associates in Ocean Township for many years before he retired. I took over the business in 1992, and have ever since then moved down to Spring Lake.
Still practicing.
Still practice.
Go ahead, now do your thing.
Okay. We can find the room to put the air conditioner on behind the house, behind the addition. And if that's what's required, then we'll make that good stuff.
That'll be a condition.
Fine.
Anything else you want to tell us about the variance needed?
The variance for the building coverage, it already exceeds the maximum, and by putting this addition on, we're gonna be over 5% more, so. And the bedroom and the bathroom are not really large to begin with, so I think that it's worth the extra 124 square feet that we're over.
What are the dimensions of the bedroom and bathroom?
Bedroom is 11.2 inches by 15 feet 4 inches. The bathroom is 5 feet wide and 9 feet deep. There's a walk-in closet that's 6 by 5, and there's a small covered porch 4 by 4. There's a small platform and stairs going down to the yard from the bedroom. And there's a small platform and stairs going down to the yard from the side of the property.
How many bedrooms is that?
There's 3 upstairs, this one would be 4.
So that new master bedroom is up the back in this new addition.
Yes.
And that porch, that, the sliders and the steps lead up into that. Is that steps, I'm seeing steps in the back of that?
Yes, there's steps there and a small platform, 3 by 7.
And obviously no parking.
So adding a bedroom to the house
And the bedroom to the house.
with no parking,
A small lot, small.
but a small lot.
You attest to parking?
Nope, it's just, as you mentioned on Central, it's just parking in front of the home, street parking. The intent of the bedroom is as we get older, we don't want to do the steps.
I understand that,
There's still a lot of bedrooms
for a small
for a
floor.
small house.
And I appreciate that it's being posed. I don't just conflict. There's no changes to the second floor in the first house, second floor of the existing structure.
No, there's no changes to the second floor of the existing structure,
Just the addition to the back.
just the addition to the back.
But you are moving the property line over,
We are moving the side yard setback from 0.5 to 1.69. So we are increasing it by 13, 14 inches.
so some of those bedrooms will be impacted negatively by being
That's all in the bedroom.
No, it's all,
upstairs?
no, it's nothing upstairs.
This is just
Oh,
a
it's
one
only the
story.
downstairs.
It's only
Okay.
downstairs.
Okay.
Anyway, you're cutting 13 inches somewhere?
Okay.
Cut out the 13 inches?
Mhm.
Well, we increased it by 13 inches. We went from 6 inches to the property line now to, well, no, 19. 13 plus 6 is 19.
How is that though? I'm looking at the drawing, right? Maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like you're bumping the building out, right? If I'm looking at, whatever this one is. First floor, left-hand side, first floor plan,
SP2.
yes, SB2.
Correct. All right, it's
Are
bumped
you
out.
moving it out 2 feet 11 inches from walk-in closet to new bed?
Correct.
Okay.
Currently, it is 3.5 feet to 4 feet.
If I could,
Where's this, where are we making up the side?
because there was a shed there.
Oh, okay.
And the shed encroached more on the side yard than their addition.
They're making the condition
Gotcha.
better, yes.
Okay, sorry.
Yep, that's all right.
So it's my understanding that we're gonna decrease the first floor width, but the second floor width stays the same.
First floor width, the sheds are coming down. So we're picking up the distance that the sheds were to the property line by increasing that setback for the addition on the first floor. There's no addition to the second floor, nothing is being affected.
Okay.
So we increased the room, the bedroom. So nobody slept in the sheds. It's a townhouse. And there's no parking on that street altogether.
We're not intending to increase the population within our home.
Visitors. You have a lot of bedrooms, you have a lot of visitors.
We have our grandkids.
Any other comments from the board? Anything, Jerry?
Well, I'm only gonna add as a question, but why do we need so many rear yard access points? You have a side door, you have a proposed new door with a covered porch, and then you also have a slider off to the master bedroom. I mean, is all that necessary on a small lot?
Mr. Architect?
I mean, I could talk to my client, we could eliminate the sliding door from the bedrooms, so, you know.
I can answer that. Under the intent, again, that first door, I guess as you're looking at the picture on the left, we don't want people coming through, we want to have direct access to the backyard so that we have that and we're not infringing on our southerly side neighbors' side door. But the first door on the left is so that people don't have to cut through the bedroom to go to the backyard. The sliders are for us to go directly to the backyard. And we have a dog, so that's also.
Makes sense.
That side door that exists, that's like on a landing between the stairs, where you have a couple steps going up and then.
That's correct, yes.
But the door's at grade level outside, so I guess that's a little bit sunken.
Yes.
I don't know if you follow where I was going.
I kind of do. You know, again, you could make up a little bit of the difference by removing that. I mean, I understand that egress is something that you would like, but I would think it makes more sense to have a side door, and I don't know if this is where Jerry was going, but I think it makes more sense to have the side door. If you're cooking in the kitchen and barbecuing in the backyard, you don't wanna walk into your bedroom, obviously. So that's why you want the side door.
No, well, sorry.
You know, the back door, you know,
The kitchen would actually, we're doing some, we're gonna improve the kitchen as well, but the kitchen, you would go through a hallway to the back, that back door, so you'd have direct access to the backyard, you know, barbecuing.
exactly. So you have access to the backyard from the living part of the house. I think Jerry raises a good point. You really need it from
From the back and the side.
the back, from the bedroom. What does it, well, yeah.
As long as one, to your point, you could, if you would limit, try to work to eliminate that back regular door entrance, you take that whole bump out where the shed was, and slide it back over, and you keep it in line with the house. And then you enhance the side entrance somehow. Because we're operating a four-bedroom on this house, which is
Or I can understand them wanting to have access off their back bedroom as a fourth floor as a retirement. Would it be amenable to make a more narrow sliding door?
No, leave the sliding door, take out the hallway door.
But then you force everybody to go through your.
No, go around the side door. The house isn't that big.
Oh, okay.
I'm not certain what code is, but from our standpoint, we'd rather eliminate the side door.
If the side door doesn't change the dimension of the house.
Well, wait, which side door are they referring to?
the one far on the right-hand side of the house you're looking at.
The new one,
No, the ones that exist.
the existing one? Yeah, that doesn't get you there.
No, but if you enhance that entranceway and reconfigure that area to expand the kitchen.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot
There's
they
not-
can do there
not a
because they don't have a lot of room outside the house. And then inside the house, they have to deal with the elevation issues with the stairs. So they really can't,
Okay.
they really can't do that.
Reality is in the future, it's gonna be a family room,
Hmm.
a strange way, and 3 bedrooms in the upstairs, that's how the house is.
And where do you plan on putting the air conditioning units?
Behind the addition, in the backyard.
So either to the left or the right of the platform.
Correct, probably to the left, behind the bathroom.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board? Answers? Anybody from the board from the bottom here? No? Anybody from the general public? Any other questions? Anybody, comments? Any comments from the board? Any comments to the general public? I'll make a motion then to approve this application as stated in testimony with the following conditions, Jerry?
Well, I mean, they have on their plans, they're already removing the shed.
Right.
They've testified that they would remove the patio and to help reduce the impervious coverage. And that the air conditioning condenser would be in the backyard, along the back wall, to the left of that platform.
Jerry, any concern about that pole?
I was just trying to find a way to get a little more impervious coverage. Is what I was trying to do.
No, but are you any concern about the proximity of that pole to the new addition, the telephone pole?
Well, there's a power line, as in many blocks in Bradley Beach, that runs mid-block through there. It's the same across the street, runs all the way down, east-west. You know, their property is their property, they have a right to build on it. JCP&L or whomever has the right for their aerial space through there. And based based on the construction, if they have an issue, they'll contact the property owner and it would be addressed there. It really wouldn't be a borough issue.
Okay.
The pole's on their property.
Yeah.
You don't need a ballot in front of it, right?
But no,
No.
no. I mean, there's no moving vehicles, there's nothing like that there.
Okay. Just protection.
Yeah, no.
And that's,
Do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
now we got a second.
Wait. Mr. Wade?
I vote yes, looks like a good project. Good luck with it.
Mr. Russo?
I vote yes, particularly, you're reducing that impervious coverage, while you're raising the size of the building coverage. You're to some extent making up for the impervious coverage, so, I support it very much.
Mr. Advento?
I vote yes as well. I think in many ways, I appreciate the project. I'm trying to also mitigate having to climb up the stairs in our time period. Good luck with the project. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fratelli?
I vote yes as well. I think it's enhancement to the community. I think they've worked along with the town to reduce the setbacks, to reduce the impervious, and to enhance the aesthetics of the neighborhood. And I wish you a happy retirement.
Thank you.
At the beach.
Thank you. Ms. Saracine?
I vote yes. I think it's an improvement for the impervious coverage.
Mr. Mayor?
I vote yes for all the reasons stated.
And Chair Rosenberg?
Oh, I also vote yes, as stated in testimony. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Happy birthday to you guys.
Happy birthday.
You got the birthday present.
I make a motion, we adjourn, next meeting, November 16th.
18th, November 18th.
November 18th.
You didn't bring a cake for us?
We'll drop it off at the next meeting. Do I have a second?
I second that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Adento. All in favor?
Aye.
Have a good evening. Thank you.
Okay, nice meeting you in person finally.
I know.
All of you. Thank you. Like all the Zoom chatter.
You don't realize.
I appreciate the comments, because there's so much you want to know. Absolutely.